The Amerika House, of course, started after the war was over. It quickly became a center of Berlin-American relations, films, music, books, discussions. Berliners found what they had missed for 12 long years, access to what was modern in the world. And therefore it became a symbol, maybe the symbol, for German-American relations. Good ones and sometimes bad ones during the times of the Vietnam War, for example. But it always was a lot more than just any old building. It was that symbol, and it would therefore be absurd to use it for any other purpose. When the house closed down in 2006, an initiative formed immediately of organizations and individuals who have one goal: to keep the house running with transatlantic contents, with discussions, concerts, readings, everything that the Amerika House used to stand for. We're just now going through a series of events at the Amerika House, and the hall is filled every single evening, which shows that there is a very strong demand to keep it open. And we can only ask all those that are responsible in the city for our future to listen to what the Berliners are saying.
To demonstrate how the Amerika Haus could be used in the future, we organized this event series, which includes 7 different events on the topic of the US presidential elections. We tried very hard to bring the broad spectrum of different cultural backgrounds, of different mindsets to the floor, and to offer a forum really for transatlantic dialogue for the public. And we would like to continue with that.
Obama's election, or likely election, and the fact that he's going to win red states, does that mean that the US is now turning purple? My answer to that is no. It means that a lot of people are pissed off at Republicans, and that they're going to vote for Obama, in part because they don't like the way the country's going, in part because he's a charismatic figure. But does that mean that this is a watershed moment, and that from here on out the South is going to be up for grabs, and the Mountain West is going to move into the Democratic column? No. I think this is an idiosyncratic moment in American politics, and I think the country is going to be governed by Democrats, but it will be a country that's fundamentally center-right, and that it's going to be a country in which the red-blue divide will continue, even though all 3 houses, the House, the Senate, and the White House, will be Democratic. So it's going to be a mess.
The goal of this event series, How Will America Vote, wasn't only to provoke discussions among our visitors and here in the Amerika House about the upcoming elections in the United States, but also to stimulate an aesthetic debate about the myth of phenomenon America. And that's why I was asked to curate an exhibition as part of that event series, and I have called that exhibition US Facets. The results are pictures of America between poverty and commerce, protest and vision, hope and the pursuit for happiness, of American faces and Americans which made a difference in Berlin and the world.
We're really very pleased with the response that we had to the Vive America series. Every evening the auditorium was filled with visitors. We had a chance to talk with them to get some feedback on the program, and one thing that we heard over and over again was it would be great to have this sort of event in the Amerika House more often so that people could participate in it. And of course, a good organization and an interesting program were very helpful in all of this, but it wouldn't have been the same if we hadn't had so much interest from the press, from television, radio, print. Even the international press was here, and I think that shows us that not only the Berliners but also the international public have a certain expectation of what's to happen in Berlin, this historical city, and also on this historical, or in this building, the Amerika Haus. We've been making history for 50 years here, and people expect that to continue. And I'd like to thank at this point the Bundeszentrale für politische Bildung for their support in making this happen and giving us an opportunity to present this program to the city of Berlin and give everyone a sort of a glimpse of the future of the Amerika Haus to come.
The US elections are always important for Germany, especially for Berlin. I mean, this city was divided over around about 30 years. And now it's reunited since nearly 20 years. So Americans were always in this city. So for the Federal Agency for Civic Education, it is very important to cooperate with partners like the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy or the Initiative Amerika Haus, so that we can make a platform for discussions. What should happen with this very important house in Berlin? Because this was a place for Berliners to discuss problems between Europe and America, between Germany and the United States. So we hope that this process will go on. So that is one of the reasons why we take part in this series.
The Institute for Cultural Diplomacy is supporting the initiative Amerika Haus Berlin because we see it as a fascinating experiment as a new form of cultural diplomacy for the future. Our work at the Institute is focusing on research in terms of what was cultural diplomacy, what is cultural diplomacy, and in what directions is it going. We see the Amerika Haus Berlin as a fascinating opportunity to try to launch a new form of cultural diplomacy, not run by the governments, but run by civil society. Not designed for elites, but designed for the public and for civil society. We want to reopen the Amerika Haus Berlin as a center for civil society-based transatlantic dialogue, something from the citizens for the citizens, an open space where NGOs, charities, think tanks from the United States, from Canada, America as a whole, Germany and Europe can come together to come into dialogue regarding transatlantic relations, some of the most important challenges and opportunities awaiting transatlantic relations in the future.
I was standing here in 1967 and 1968. I was standing here even in very cold winter time after the student meetings in the technical universities here around with the movement leaders Rudi Dutschke protesting the Vietnam War, and we started to have debates for hours here in the streets, and together with German police and with American people standing here around. So for me, this house here, the American House at the Zoologische Garten in Berlin, in the old center of West Berlin, represents for me a very important page in US and in German history. And I think it would be very sad if this house would be closed and it would not be supported anymore. And I think now with this evening, when we had to talk about the elections in the US now this year 2008, and I would say the majority of the people who were there, it was packed up the room, and very interesting, 3 generations of people sitting in the room, and most of them would like to vote for Obama. I think that's a wonderful span of history which is presented in that house, and it should stay lively. I think we can need it as an addition to the embassy, in a way to make out of it a sort of embassy and intercultural and transatlantic exchange center between committed citizens. I hope this house will go on with its political and cultural life the next 20 years.